She's ready? We're ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I would like to call to order the Clarkston Independent District Library Board of Trustees meeting for November 14, 2022. The meeting is called to order at 6:30. Please.
Right on time.
Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we would like to start the meeting tonight with a remembrance for our departed board member. And we have his obituary tonight, and Julie will read it for us.
Dan Green of Clarkston passed away on October 23, 2022 at the age of 77. Born in High Point, North Carolina to Huey Clifford Green and Kathleen Green, née McLean, Dan was the father of Dylan Green, beloved grandfather of Ariana and Victor, brother of Paul, Michael, deceased, and Stephen Green. Like a brother to Tom Jones and loyal friend to Jen McHouston and many others. Dan earned a BA in journalism from the University of Southern Mississippi and became a reporter in New Orleans. Later, he earned an MA in communications from Mississippi College and was employed by General Motors from 1979 until 2010 in Public Relations Division. After early retirement, he wrote novels, took up guitar and singing, produced 2 CDs of original music, and hosted open mics. Dan was also a dedicated supporter of the Clarkston Independent District Library, where he started volunteering with the Friends of the Library in 2003. He co-chaired book sales, won the Best Friend Award, was elected president of the Friends, campaigned to reestablish the library and improve funding, and was appointed to the library's Board of Trustees from 2012 to 2022, serving his final term as vice president. He was devoted to his son and grandchildren and enjoyed gardening, cooking, and spending time with dear friends. He was an avid reader and film buff with a special fondness for the works of J.R.R. Tolkien. Dan's devotion to those he loved can best be captured by this Tolkien quote: "You can trust us to stick with you through thick and thin, to the bitter end, and you can trust us to keep any secret of yours closer than you yourself keep it. But you cannot trust us to let you face trouble alone and go off without a word. We are your friends." Donations may be made to the family for final expenses by visiting the GoFundMe page.
Thank you. This obituary also appeared in the Clarkston News this week.
Okay.
So it was very lovely, and we'll miss Dan. He's been an active member for many years.
You sure will miss him.
Please call the roll.
Jan Hackney, here. Elsie McFadden Keeson, absent. Nancy Boone.
Yes.
Marilyn Pomeroy.
Here.
Maggie Sands.
Here.
Chris Schultz.
I'm here.
Julie Meredith.
Okay, I'll accept the motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda as presented. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Call to the public.
Oh, please.
Yes.
I'm not familiar with the meeting, sorry.
That's all right.
So my name is Jim Drolle, and I am pleased to introduce myself as your new liaison with the Friends Organization. I've been with them for about 2 years. Been involved in most of the book sales, a couple spot projects and stuff, and very much look forward to working with you guys. So hopefully I get a chance to say hi after the meeting, but very much. If I can have a minute, just a couple of comments,
Yes.
please. Friends funds are still in very good shape. We're in round numbers, around 31,000 after commitments to different projects for the library. So that works well. Book inventories are running about 50% of the storage area right now for the April book sale. So book donations continue to be very robust and the quality is excellent. I mean, credit to the community. We've got very good raw material for how we do these things to treat the library. Our next book sale is the holiday book sale, and that comes up December 3rd on a Saturday. In addition to the books, there will be merchandise having library logos and so forth on it. much thanks to one of Julie's staff, Sissy Phillips. So there'll be a couple different sweatshirts, a t-shirt, and a couple different kinds of hats for sale. In addition to that, we are going to have the Historical Society having a sale at the same time with some of their merchandise. We also have the bake sale that we usually have on Saturdays. That's very popular with that. And we should have the Optimist Club, or at least the Boy Scouts from the Optimist Club here, which are usually pretty good as far as just atmosphere and greeters, and they help people to the car and so forth. So look forward to any participation with that or any questions you have about that after. Last point is there was discussion at our last meeting that there should be a need for a de-escalation training on the part of the Friends organization, especially during book sales, due to an incident, I think, at a different library. So we're looking into that probably next calendar year. I would say that if we decide to go forward with it, I would invite that the members of this board participate. There should be ample room in the class. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have we, that's one question. Have we ever had any near occasion of,
Not to my knowledge. I don't know, Nancy, do you know?
Not that I'm aware of in any libraries here, but the person who brought it to my attention, it was an issue in the Rochester Mills Library.
Right. I've been on the Friends group since the 1990s, and we've never had an issue. So hopefully that will continue. Thank you. And so we remember the first Saturday in December.
Okay.
The sale. Okay. Next, we're moving to the consent agenda. We have 7 items. I'll accept a motion to accept the consent agenda.
So moved.
I'll second. We move the second that we accept the consent agenda. There are 7 items. Does anyone need to discuss any particular item? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is accepted. Next is library statistics. Our colorful sheet.
Just wanted to point out that you'll notice that visitors are up significantly. Circulation is about back to normal. We are seeing an increase, still an increase in information questions and downloads. Wireless users, we're seeing an increase in quite a lot of our, in terms of change over last year. And just one thing that everybody's always interested in is total circulations is 20,899 per month. So that's quite a few items circulating. Any questions on any of that?
Thank you. Any questions?
Glad to see all the people coming in and it is.
Seems like things are sort of getting back to normal. Whatever that is.
just knocked on wood.
Right. Yeah. The new normal. Library director's report.
All right. On October 11th and again on November 5th, the library had to close due to a power outage. In both of these instances, the fire suppression system armed due to a slow leak of air that allowed the pressure in the system to drop below the low pressure cutoff. Normally, the compressor maintains the system at an appropriate level by adding air pressure when needed, but when the power is out, the compressor cannot do that. During the first incident, the pressure dropped and the system armed in only an hour. We discovered a significant leak at the time and had water in the children's department. Fortunately, there was no significant damage, just cleanup, very light carpet. We had the system drained and the pipe repaired. During the second incident, the system maintained pressure for several hours, but did arm shortly before the power was restored the next morning, like literally 10, 15 minutes before. So frustrating.
Of course.
Of course. We had the system drained and the pipe repaired, but in this case, the repair was much more minor, and there was no water issue. These incidents are an indication that adding a generator to the building is a worthwhile investment. Due to the high demand and staffing shortages of contractors, this project is taking more time than expected, but we are working on it this week. Next item, in mid-October, I was asked by a community member if the library could use our Harwood training to assist by facilitating a Meet the Candidates event for the school board election. It was not a debate, town hall, or rally. It was formatted more like a job interview. My role as facilitator was neutral, objective HR director, asking interview-style questions to allow the community to learn more about each candidate's skills, experiences, and qualifications for school board position. The logistics and planning of the event were coordinated by Lisa Bohr, a mom in the community who is a marketing professional. Together, we selected the categories for the questions and created an interview for the school board trustee position. The library's IT staff assisted as timekeepers during the event to assure the candidates each got the same amount of time to answer questions. The event went really well and was a good use of the Harwood training that the library received to assist the community in talking and listening to each other. Once again, the library's community meeting room was Independence Township's Precinct 4 location on Election Day. It was a very busy voting day and everything went smoothly thanks to the well-trained and experienced team of election workers assigned to this precinct. I would like to thank the Independence Township Clerk's Office for their hard work coordinating so many election details. We're always very pleased when it goes so well. Next item, due to the current competitive job market, we are still seeking a full-time teen services librarian. We're actually hoping that we would be appointing someone tonight, but no such luck. During the last selection process, the candidate we selected decided to accept a position at another library. We have reposted the position, which closes today, and we'll be reviewing the submissions tonight. That's your interest for us. Next item, CIDL's Trunk or Treat event on October 21st was a huge success. There were over 20 trunks sponsored by local businesses and individuals. The Friends gave away children's books and sponsored a free cider and donut food truck. Other activities included pumpkin decorating and a photo booth. We estimate that we had about 1,000 people, yes, that is 3 zeros on that number, attend, and feedback was extremely positive. Congratulations to Sissy Phillips and her team of staff and volunteers who worked on this event. Thank you to the Friends of the Library for sponsoring this event, and thank you to the Independence Township Sheriff's Substation for assisting with traffic and safety.
The photos on social media looked like it was a very fun night.
It was really fun, and the weather was beautiful. We had such a fun time last year when it was pouring, and we had even more fun this year when it wasn't.
That 1,000, that's really good.
Yeah, and we know that because some of the businesses told us how many goodie bags that they had prepared, and we went through all of them. That's how we were able to count. In October, the library sent several staff members to the Michigan Library Association annual conference in Port Huron, including Chris Nato and Stacia Seraphin, who presented on the library's Culture City project to make the library more inclusive to visitors with sensory sensitivities. Chris and Stacia's session attracted about 100 attendees, and the staff that attended the conference also expressed positive feedback about the conference. It's always nice when we can send staff out for education. Once again, the library participated in Impact Weekend, an event that takes place in the Davisburg-Clarkston area twice each year in spring and fall, to rally nearly 1,000 community members to come out in force to volunteer on projects that serve seniors, low-income families, the homeless, special needs, churches, schools, and nonprofits. In the spring, the library participates by hosting a project to have volunteers assist in moving boxes of books and setting up the Friends Spring Book Sale. In the fall, Impact Weekend does not align with the Friends Sale, so we usually provide a location for some other project. This year they had enough work sites, so we gathered a group of library staff to assist with Blessings in a Backpack project at Waypoint Church. Food is packaged and sent home through the schools with kids who are part of the free lunch program to assure that they have enough food for the weekend. The staff that participated were glad they could pitch in on this very important project. Next item, Independence Township's Parks and Recreation Department is currently working on their 5-year master plan. Part of the project involves conversations with community stakeholders. The library was invited to be part of this, so Sissy Phillips, our community engagement coordinator, and I each attended one of the two meetings. At these meetings, we talked about the current collaborative projects and potential future collaborative projects. One item that came up was the piece of land between the library and the school administration building that was sold to the township for $1 in 2005 by the school district for the purpose of building a senior community center. The piece of property that the library was built on was acquired in a similar way in 1968 for the purpose of building a public library to serve the community and the school district. During the reestablishment of the library, an easement was attached to the library's quitclaim deed to assure that if the township builds on that senior center community center property, that the library would share its driveway. The township currently has no plan to build on that property, but it is important to document this agreement for future planning purposes. Other small possible collaborative projects were also discussed. But just so that you're aware, the idea was that this property and the one next door in that direction, they would build on the front part of the property like a library. Their parking lot would go across the back. The two parking lots would be connected, and the driveway would go between the two buildings. So at times when we needed additional parking, we could rely on their parking lot, and when they needed additional parking, the same. They ended up building the senior center at Point Park, But they do still hold that piece of property, so we're just thinking at some point they may decide to do something with it, and I'm not sure that they were all entirely aware that that easement was written into that agreement. So we're trying to make sure that they have all that information. Last but certainly not least, on Tuesday, November 15th at 6 p.m., the library will hold the dedication of Debbie's Book Nook, the new seating area in the youth area. This beautiful custom furniture is in memory of Debbie Locker, a longtime friend of the library. The dedication will feature a story time performed by Stasia Seraphin, the library's head of children's and teen services. We will also provide a Zoom link so that family who are unable to attend can be part of this event. So if you want to be available to attend, we invite you to do so.
So tomorrow.
Yes.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
Your first item on the fire suppression system.
Yes.
And I know I'm just coming up to speed on all the facilities, but should I presume we don't have a generator, and would that be a possible solve for not losing power so that the suppression system?
We are in the process of it was actually intended to be, a full building generator was intended to be put into the 2020 budget.
Oh, you know what, now I'm
And
recalling that.
Now
Okay,
2020, it couldn't happen in 2021, so now we're in the process. The first thing I did was bring in an electrician to look at the building, and he said, first and foremost, you need an electrical engineer because this building has so much electronics in it that it's too complicated and you need somebody to design the plan. He said, I can't just help you figure out what you need an electrical engineer. So right now we're trying to find somebody who can do that. I've been talking to some municipalities to find somebody that would be qualified to take on a project like that. So once we have that, then we would put it out for bid and find an electrical contractor who would come in and do that install.
And remind me, Julie, we do hope that'll be completed this year, or will that fall?
It's-
I mean, 2023?
2023, yes. And certainly not between now and the end of this year. But yeah, that would be miraculous.
Santa Claus would come.
I've been trying.
Thank you.
Yeah, but we are still working on that.
You'll be happy to know we discuss our fire suppression system frequently.
Yes, regularly.
I'm learning. And actually, once you started answering my question, I recalled that you had.
It's not a board meeting if we don't talk about fire suppression.
Now to regular business.
Okay.
Number one, a recommendation for library board appointments.
The governing board of the Clarkston Independence District Library consists of 7 trustees, 5 appointed by the Board of Independence Township and 2 appointed by the Council of the City of Clarkston. They serve 3-year terms. The current term expires on December 31st of 2022. Of the current board, 6 trustees are seeking reappointment, 4 from the township and 2 from the city. There is 1 open seat representing Independence Township. The township has provided the submission from Alan Panter, who applied to fill this seat. Both the township board and city council would like the current board to review the interested candidates for all seats and make a recommendation. The city council plans to appoint their 2 trustees at their meeting on November 28th, and the township board plans to appoint their 5 trustees at a meeting in late November or early December. The term for these candidates will be January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2025. Because there is a seat representing the township that is currently vacant, Mr. Panter could be appointed to fulfill the remainder of the current term, as well as the term beginning January 1, 2023. Any questions? Ellen was going to
All
come
in our
this evening.
submissions.
And I was glad to see that everybody was planning on coming back.
Yes. Alan was going to come this evening, but he was unavailable to get on this.
So I will accept a motion.
I move that we recommend the appointment of Janice Gaffney, Allison McFadden Kiesling, Alan Cantor for the remainder of the current term and the term beginning January 1st, 2023, Marilyn Pomeroy, and Christy Shaw as library board trustees representing Independence Township. And you want this all as one motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, and recommend the appointment of Nancy Moon and Margaret Sands as library board trustees representing the city of the village of Clarkston.
Thank you. I'll accept the second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we support the motion of these named candidates for the term starting in 2023. Any comments or questions? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you.
I will get that sent over to the township and the city tomorrow.
Number 2, renewal of the landline telephone contract.
While the library's main phone lines are internet-based VoIP system, it is necessary to maintain a few traditional landlines for the fax machine, backup to the alarm system, and a required DTE communication line. It has become much more challenging to find a company to provide these lines at a very low cost since we need to have them, but they are so minimally used. When the library invested in its VoIP system, the company assisted in finding a company to provide this service since VoIP could not be used for this purpose. We've been using Windstream since that time, and although we have looked at some other options, we haven't found anything that's really better at this point. If we renew this contract for 24 months, there would be savings of $508.38, approximately 1.5 months worth of service. The contract protects us from random rate hikes, and we can use this time of this contract to research options that would allow us to discontinue the use of these landlines or other companies that may provide similar coverage at a better price. Selecting the 36-month contract would provide greater savings, but because we are looking at making changes to the alarm system in the coming months, opting for a shorter contract would be prudent. And this is a budgeted item.
Yeah, because I know there are alarm systems, obviously newer and more modern than ours, that don't need a landline.
Ours has both. It's an older system, and because we struggle, the current backup system is was cellular. But it still has a landline backup, like a tertiary backup.
Yeah.
So it's got a main line, it's got cellular, or now a radio signal, and then there's the landline as well. So it actually has 3. It's the DTE one that we can't get rid of. At least they haven't allowed us to so far. Every time we ask, they say no. I don't know.
I know, I mean, the technology exists.
I know. So we have to keep it. The fax machine we keep, because it's a standard fax line, it's been the same fax number for as long as the library has been on this property. And we are required by the state of Michigan to have a fax line, and we wanted to maintain that number, so we just kept that in place for these purposes.
At some point, it may be worth getting a fax number.
Yeah, well, at this point, we just keep it because we've had it for so long.
Yeah.
But we are required to have a fax.
So this is the best option available at the moment?
It is the best option available at the moment. We're hopeful that we will be able to come to something better going forward. In 2023, you will be seeing a project to replace the entire alarm system. So hopefully we'll be able to shed at least that line, but we'll have to work with DTE about that.
Yeah, but then when you get fewer lines, that's not necessarily going to result in a reduction.
Well, if we don't ever get it down to 0, we'll never get rid of them.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, we gotta try and get rid of them one at a time.
Because you know how to deal with bundling things.
Yeah.
If we don't have anything to bundle with it, that's it.
And this is like all of those projects where in order to do this project, we have to do that step, and then we have to do that step before we can do this step.
Indeed. The only thing about this contract is that it does keep them from jacking the price up just randomly.
Which I'm sure they'd be happy to do.
Which I'm sure they would be happy to do. Yeah. Yep, I know.
Are there any more questions or comments? In that case, I'll accept a motion.
I make a motion to approve the 24-month contract with Windstream Enterprise for landline services.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve Windstream Enterprise for our landline services for the next 2 years. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. My motion is carried. Next item, staffing update and proposed restructuring.
In the past couple of years, the pandemic has created a difficult situation for employers in many fields. Libraries are also facing these challenges as people reevaluate, reinvent, or relocate, creating a shortage of qualified staff to fill crucial positions. We are still currently trying to fill our full-time teen librarian position and recently lost a full-time employee in the technical services department. Because we are seeing library usage and traffic returning to pre-COVID levels, we are experiencing a shortage of librarians as the staff returns to in-person programming and outreach to the community. After much discussion, we proposed addressing these challenges with some restructuring. 1, continue to seek a full-time teen services librarian. 2, restructure the technical services department to use more part-time staff that will allow for more flexibility in work shifts, workspaces, and job sharing. And 3, transition what was the full-time technical services position into an additional full-time collaborative services librarian and fill this position by promoting from within. So basically what you have in your packet is the current organizational chart and what the organizational chart would look like if we did some restructuring. So what we're proposing is the addition of a full-time collaborations librarian. And I have included in your packet a description of what that would include. We do have an excellent candidate on staff who could fill that position. The person that we are recommending is Stephanie Burnham. She is currently a student in library science program with 2 classes left and anticipates the completion of her degree in May of 2023. While she is still a student, we hired her to CIDL's Adult Services Department to work with our librarians in a mentoring capacity. She started out shadowing at the information desk and was soon being trusted to handle research questions on her own while being overseen by a degreed librarian. Steph has a strong interest in archival work, so in addition to working for CIDL, she also started volunteering for the Clarkston Heritage Museum. Because of her aptitude for historic research, she was given the opportunity to do a special project for the Independence Township Fire Department. The fire chief wanted to create a new patch for their uniforms that indicated the year the department began, but they didn't really know what that was. Due to the complicated history of Clarkston and Independence Township, this was not a simple task, but Steph dug in and kept searching. Experienced librarians watched over her work and answered her questions about how to proceed along the way, but ultimately it was Steph's project. She was able to provide enough detail for the department to decide what to do, and they were very grateful for her assistance. Next, Steph was given an opportunity to work on the Homebound Books program in collaboration with the Senior Center. She started asking lots of questions and investigating possible improvements and growth opportunities for this project. This continues to be one of her projects. She also created the popular Salt to Taste book group, in which attendees check out the same cookbook, create a recipe from it, and share their creations at a potluck while discussing what they learned from the book. In order to expand her experience, she took on hosting the annual tea party that had been a well-loved project of a previous staff member, and did a great job making it a successful event while still executing it in her own way. Steph has demonstrated that she is well on the road to being a great librarian. She is curious, enthusiastic, and gets along well with her colleagues. Adding her to the staff as a full-time employee will give her the opportunity to grow her skills and make an impact on our community. So I do have the proposal for the position, the potential compensation package, and then in terms of budgeting, due to vacant positions, the library is adequately funded to accommodate this restructuring, but budget adjustments will be necessary. The best time to handle that is at the point at the December meeting when we review our year-to-date budget through November 30th and make those final budget adjustments for the year. But just having looked at the budget, the money is there to be moved around to do this. So.
And it replaces a full-time position in technical services, which then will be
part-time people. So essentially, and that's Brad's department, and he is actually the one who proposed the possibility of doing that. One of the things that he is struggling with in his department, something similar to what we were struggling with in admin, which is when you have one full-time person and that one full-time person is gone, it's really hard to pick up the slack. And so what we did in our admin department is we now have 2 people that have different tasks, but are cross-trained to kind of know how to do each other's jobs. So if one of them is away, the other one can help fill in and at least guide some other staff members to doing those extra tasks, not just dump it all on one person, obviously, but there's cross-training and job sharing, and then it also helps in terms of workspace. So they share a workspace, they work opposite shifts, and come in at different times and that sort of thing.
And it does work well in admin, so that's good that Brad is not only open to that, but actually suggested that, because that's a good solution to this problem.
And the situation that he has is the person that was doing that is really, her primary role was interlibrary loan, which is basically a 7-day-a-week job, or it could be. And so it was really hard. She was having, to squeeze it in and whatever. And she has part-timers that help with that, but to make it flow better, it would be similar to how we also had circulation. All of our clerks work part-time, and they work different shifts. And then if somebody takes time off, it's much easier to fill in than when you have some, just as people who ideally would like to work Monday through Friday. When you've got different people working different shifts, it just makes it easier to do that work, so.
I'd really like to thank you for researching, and this last year with everyone in the world looking for positions, everyone trying to staff adequately. This has been a challenge across the board, across all states. So everyone is having this issue, and we were not immune from that. So this has been an excellent way of giving, like in the basketball team, the football team, they get to step up.
And some creative solutions.
Yes, creative
Which
solutions.
is always a good thing, because sometimes the standard solutions don't work, and lately that seems to be the case. That the standards, I mean, you can't just post a job, and we know we're a great place to work, but if there's nobody looking for a job, then it doesn't matter.
And so much of our recent losses have been people who are relocating to be closer to family. Our team librarian left to be closer to her family in Ohio. Our technical services person left in order to be closer to her family in California. There's just a lot of that kind of thing going on. People are prioritizing, and where families used to be much more spread out, they're tending to clump up a little bit more after such a hard couple of years. So we have lost people in that way.
Okay, are there any other questions?
I just want to say, Stephanie did some work for the Historical Society, not Historical Society, Historical Commission. No, it wasn't the commission, it was the Clarkston. I'm chairman, you think I could remember the survey committee. Thank you. Yeah, she did. I was really struggling with 2 parts of that, especially landscape detail. And Stephanie did an excellent job of research for the study committee for the village of Clarkston. So, yeah, I've seen the work. It's very good.
Which is one of the skills librarians are supposed to have, research capability. So that's excellent.
I think her curiosity is, she asks lots and lots of questions, which means that when it is time for her to work on a project, she has a really good understanding of what it is she's looking for, and is really good at digging deep. So,
Yeah, she's awesome. Yeah.
Well, I will accept a motion on the staffing update and proposed restructuring first.
I'll make a motion to approve the organizational chart update and the collaborations librarian job description as presented.
I'll second
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the organizational chart update and the collaborations librarian job description. Any other comments or questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Now, let's talk about someone in the position.
I
will accept another
move
motion.
that we appoint Stephanie Burnham as the new full-time collaborations librarian with a salary of $48,000 at date of hire and $50,000 upon completion of her MLIS, with the standard benefits package of a full-time employee and a date of hire that is agreeable to the candidate and library administration.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we appoint Stephanie Burnham as the new full-time collaborations librarian as presented. If there are no comments, questions, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Thank you.
thank you.
Moving along to check signers. Very important. Yes.
Indeed. Okay. As a brief review, the accounts payable procedure is as follows. Invoices are submitted to the accounts payable administrative assistant who enters them into QuickBooks. The check run, preview, and invoices are given to the director for review. Once approved, checks are run. There are 4 check signers, 3 board members, and the library director. All checks are reviewed and signed by 2 library board members. The library director only signs checks if a check needs to be signed quickly to prevent late fees, or if other board members are unavailable, and only with the agreement of the board member who is available to sign. The check detail report goes to the library board packet for approval in the consent agenda. Currently, the individuals on the signature card at the bank are Marilyn Pomeroy, Janice Gaffney, Daniel Green, and Julia Meredith. Due to Dan's passing, we now only have 3 potential check signers. The library board may want to consider who to add as an additional check signer and when to do this.
I'm recommending we do it soon.
Yes.
Because the next check run will be coming up shortly.
Especially like with the holidays and people maybe on vacation and stuff.
Right, yeah, and I agree with you because it's a challenge when it's really only you and I that are available and I'm still not driving, so. I require either my husband to bring me here or somebody to bring the checks to me.
Take the checks to her.
Which, I mean, has worked
We
great.
got done.
Right, we got done and everything was taken care of and there was only a couple of times, I think, when you needed to sign. So we did make it work, but it would be easier if we didn't have to work so hard at it.
What do you consider the ideal number?
So we need one additional person.
Just one.
Right, one additional.
4 has been our standard, 3 board members.
And the way this works is when the checks are ready, we, the check signers, get a call or a text saying there are checks to be signed, so we can get them out in a timely manner. If there's something that has to be signed right away, that comment will also go out. And so I probably get the first call. I'm the closest and the most mobile at the moment.
Someday I will be again.
Usually, check signing, usually the check run is done on Thursday or Friday, and then they're looking to have them signed over the weekend so that they can be mailed out. The person who checks our check run before it goes out works on Monday, and so the goal is to try and get them done. Occasionally, we have a check that needs to be distributed to a performer on a Saturday, and so that's when there's a call, somebody can come and sign quickly, but that's not the whole check run. We haven't lately, if we need one on a Saturday, a lot of times if Marilyn can get in, or we can get Jan, somebody to do it on Friday, and then I'll be the second check signer on just that one check, and the rest of the run waits until the other check signer can come in.
And the process is about 15 minutes.
It depends. Sometimes I review more closely than other
Right.
times. It depends on what, some of them you recognize, after a while you recognize the vendors. You go, yeah, okay, that's the,
And
oh,
The
also,
first
and
couple of
that's
times it might take a little longer because you don't know all the companies that we use. It's like normal every day, like every month, But like as you do it, it's not too long. They're usually in there and they talk to me like 20 minutes, maybe at most. But
yeah, usually.
and there is all of the invoices are available. So we say, oh, what is this? Who is this? What was this purpose? So,
Good education.
yes.
So
So
it
we
actually is. When I first started doing it, it was kind of a nice way to get used to. Some of the vendors I was familiar with because of handling things with Kayak Library, but some of the vendors are the same because, library vendors. There's a limited number of library vendors. But there were others that were, for more local services and things, that there is a bit of a learning curve just to get used to the names of the businesses and things. But other than that, and sometimes you can tell even without really knowing, like you can tell which ones are the performers for a program because they have really cute names. That's almost always what that is. For me, the biggest challenge is the Visa check, just because I like to really look at what those charges, those underlying charges are. But even that one typically doesn't take.
And the Visa bill is always its own check run, because it's a big one. So you'll see, if you look at in your consent agenda, the one that's a really long one is the general checks for everything else. And then there's one that's just one number, and that's the Visa bill, so.
Yeah. I think last time I signed 55 checks.
That was a big check.
That was a big check
That
run.
was a big check run.
And so,
We're
the
getting down.
materials are there if we need to check. And generally, Nicole is there,
Confidence.
or David, or Debbie is there.
Or Julie's right next
Or
door.
Julie's right next door. So we always get an answer to our questions. And
Thank you.
we figure that's good diligence. So we need the board to think about that, and think about who is available. And it doesn't have to be done tonight, but it
Doesn't
would
need to
be
be
nice
done.
to have one by the weekend.
I'm just asking for volunteers then, or?
Somebody who would be willing to take on that role, guys. So usually the check runs are about every other week.
It's not burdensome, it's just, it does take a few minutes, and sometimes there is some urgency. Although I know the the last visit bill because the timing didn't work out real well. Debbie sent me all of the information and I reviewed it at home and then said, yes, Julie can go ahead and sign it. But I did look at all of those underlying charges.
We were concerned, and we have always asked our auditors to give us ways to improve our efficiency, transparency, and making sure we have enough people working with money so that it's not in just one pair of hands. And so all of our design of our administrative assistants is to make sure that we have multiple people looking at our finances and what's going out. So that's the goal, and the auditors are sometimes surprised that anyone asks for improvement, but we always want to know what are the best practices. And so at the moment, I think we have a good system, but we need to make sure we have enough check signers so that we don't have to call on people.
Well, it's just because she's a check and balance earlier in the
Yes.
process.
It's about getting another pair of eyes on it.
Right, and the more people that look at it and touch it, the happier the auditors are.
I live around the corner, walking distance to the library. I'd be happy to help out.
Yeah, and I can help too.
You'll decide how many you want, 1 extra, 2 extra. There's no actual set number that you have to have or
There is a
can't have.
policy that says.
I don't
I
believe
think it
there's a
only calls
number
for the
on
2
it.
signatures, I think that's the policy response to that, so. Yeah, the more the merrier as far as I can know, you know.
Just gonna put down the
And
list.
that would be playing out, and we could say that, Marilyn and I first,
Yeah.
because really as board president and as treasurer,
Yeah.
that's probably the way that it should be, but then if one or both of us isn't available, backups are.
That's fine. And if Nancy's right around the corner,
I'm literally walking distance.
I'm not, I'm in.
Yeah.
Nancy's great. Yeah, she's good. I tried a little more, Nancy is more understanding of the.
more than right here. Yep. Okay, so we will accept Nancy as the third signer with Christie as our backup.
All right.
All right, I will contact the bank tomorrow and find out the process for getting those. Some banks make you go in, some of them have you sign something and just drop it off. They will need a copy of your driver's license, I believe, but I will double check and see what those rules are.
So if they decide they want all of us, we'll have a party.
Yeah, that's careful. Yeah, I want to have an accidental flight.
I don't think that we need to for check signing. We were going to have to do that for the safety deposit box.
Yes.
Everybody
Everybody
be there
can do it at
every
the
time
same
there was
time.
ever a change, and I'm like, okay, that's rough.
So we changed that.
Yes, you got a fireproof thing, we put it in our safety. Yep.
We always try to be creative.
Yeah, because that was excessive, really.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. That was excellent. I will now accept a motion for adjournment.
I'll second.
Chrissy and Jan?
Yes.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Oh, no.
We are
Set
adjourned.
it out there.
As someone always needs to
7:15.
call for a motion for adjournment.
True.
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.